There really are some incredible survival games available on your Xbox consoles, and we've seen quite a lot of new ones being released onto the Xbox Series consoles this 2025 already. I did actually cover some survival games on both Xbox consoles and also Game Pass about 9 months or so ago now, but a lot of things have definitely changed, and there's a lot of popular releases that have since launched onto your Xbox console. So what I thought was incredibly fitting is that I made a brand new video covering the 16 incredible survival games that you can play right now on Xbox or via your Xbox Game Pass subscription. Do note, I've also made a note of the Xbox Game Pass icon on screen so you know which ones are in the service, as well as the Xbox Play Anywhere icon so you know which games will run across both your PC, Xbox, and your cloud gaming devices. With that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation. If you're new here or just returning, I cover everything from Xbox news, reviews, and updates every single day. So if you want to join one of the fastest growing Xbox communities here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below. With that now out the way, let's dive right into the awesome survival games you can play right now on your Xbox consoles. So first up, we have a brand new release that landed on the Xbox this year, and one that actually hit over the 100,000 player mark in less than 1 week. Deadside is a hardcore open world survival shooter where you will experience some very intense PvPvE action alongside some deep crafting systems and a very expansive world. This finally came over to Xbox consoles, and I'm kind of glad that it did, as it was stuck over on PC for quite some time, and it's sort of a mix of DayZ and Rust combined. What's cool is that the landscape is one of a very harsh post-Soviet era, and the detail that is included here is really something. Obviously, it's not on the same technical level as something like S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 visually, but for me, it looks so much better than the likes of DayZ. Still, if you love Rust or DayZ, this will be an instant hit, and there's even a demo available on the Xbox Store right now if you want to try it out. I did actually mention Rust in the previous survival game video, however it's now received a massive Xbox Series X and S patch for this year, and even with this new update coming very soon, it's still one of the best survival games on the market. In this multiplayer only experience, the real challenge is kind of dealing with other players, as they will try and get you in any way possible. You'll start with nothing but a rock, and from there it is a race to gather some resources, build your own base, and then defend yourself from everyone else. Rust's community really is kind of known for being rather ruthless, which makes every encounter a high-stakes gamble. The tension here is always high, and the stakes are always real, and personally, I still can't trust anyone that I come across in this game. It's a game that really does keep you on your toes, and if you're looking for a survival experience that's as social as it is brutal, then Rust is the game for you. With Grounded 2 releasing this July, I thought it was incredibly fitting to still add the first entry to this list, as the amount of content and updates that this game has seen over the years has been utterly phenomenal, and it's kind of the best time to still experience the Honey I Shrunk the Kids kind of madness. In this one, you take control of one of 4 different kids, who each have their own unique skills and abilities, and then follows a story about how they want to escape from this form and get back to their normal lives. That's the gist of it anyway, but of course nothing is simple here, and it really is a fight for your survival, as everything here from fish, ants, and even spiders are out to get you. The sandbox here is really beautiful and quite freeing as well, as you can build the base of your very own dreams. I still love Grounded 1, I really can't wait for Grounded 2 this July, and this is one of the best survival games currently on Xbox Game Pass. It's still quite a shame that Valheim did leave Xbox Game Pass, but it's still one that I'd advise that you purchase right away. This is one of those games that sneaks up on you, but in a very good way. At first glance, it does look rather simple. It's got quite low poly visuals, a very slow start, but once you're in it, it completely pulls you into its overall world. You will play as a Viking warrior dropped into a mysterious realm, where you'll need to gather different resources, build your own shelters, sail across some pretty deadly oceans, and then fight off some pretty cool and evil looking creatures. What makes Valheim great on Xbox though is just how well it blends that calm, relaxing parts of the survival like farming and building with more intense boss battles and deep exploration. It does want you to progress at your very own pace, and the world feels truly alive. If you enjoy crafting and want a co-op game that doesn't hold your hand but does reward your more curious side, then this is a must play. Now, Ark Survival Ascended is the upgraded version of Ark Survival Evolved, and it's a massive step up visually and technically, even if it still has some quirks and a ton of bugs, but we're still waiting for Ark 2, so it kind of has to do for now. This one of course is running on Unreal Engine 5, and that did bring us some better lighting, smoother animations, and generally just a way more immersive world. The core gameplay loop though is still as wild as ever. You wake up stranded, naked, and surrounded by dinosaurs. You'll then be gathering materials, building your own base, and most importantly constantly taming these massive creatures to fight and travel alongside you. What I really like about Ark though is that no two playthroughs are ever the same. It's not the easiest survival game to get into, so you are warned, but once it does click, it becomes one of the most satisfying and ambitious survival experiences available on Xbox consoles. 7 Days to Die truly is a brutal and gritty survival horror game that looks to combine that open world sandbox gameplay with tower defense and RPG elements. You're basically dropped into a zombie-ridden world where you have to loot, build and prepare for the Blood Moon Horde, and that comes every 7 days. Trust me though, that 7th night will test every single trap, wall and bullet that you have. The reason I do think this game stands out though is its real progression system. You're not just surviving, you're actually leveling up your skills as well, specializing your very own character, and then fortifying your base in some very creative ways. It's also got one of the most satisfying crafting systems that I've ever seen in this genre. I keep coming back to it because no matter how good I actually think my base is, the game finds a brand new way to surprise me. If you're more into that sort of doomsday prepper sort of vibe and love the tension of knowing a horde is always coming for you, you'll get hooked pretty fast on this one. Subnautica is still one of the most unique survival games out there, mainly because it trades forests and deserts for a deep ocean. With the second game coming out hopefully for this year still, you definitely need to dip your toes into this one to experience it for the first time. Essentially, you've basically crash landed on an alien water planet, and the only way for you to survive is to dive deeper into the unknown. You'll be exploring everything, of course, that you see under the sea. That can be coral reefs, some deep trenches, underwater caves, and so much more, and you'll be crafting different equipment alongside uncovering the planet's mysterious past. What does make Subnautica so good though is the overall atmosphere. You never know what's lurking in that deep dark water below you, and that sense of wonder mixed with some very deep fear really keeps you on edge. I think the game's pacing is quite perfect as well, as you're never really guided just enough to feel lost, but it still lets you discover everything naturally. If you want a survival game that actually feels alien and more immersive, then this one's unbeatable. Before we dive into the remaining survival games for today's video, do consider subscribing, as over 74% of you have not subscribed to one of the fastest growing Xbox communities here on YouTube. I am looking to bring this channel up to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and it'd be great to see another Xbox channel pass this milestone. Thank you so much again for your continued support so far in 2025. It means the world to me, and I can't wait to bring you more content in the near future. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive back into the remaining survival games that you can play right now on your Xbox consoles. The Long Dark does get quite forgotten about from time to time, and it is a real shame, as it's a completely different kind of survival game. It's actually a more sort of slower, quieter, and more introspective game. It's actually set in a frozen Canadian wilderness after a mysterious geomagnetic disaster, and it's all about sort of cold, hunger, fatigue, and solitude. There are no zombies like 7 Days to Die, and no dinosaurs like Ark Survival Evolved, just you and nature trying to outlast each other. What I personally love though about The Long Dark is that it's got a real focus on realism, as you have to monitor your body temperature, avoid wolves, and ration food like your life depends on it. The art style as well, I have to say, is very gorgeous, and the sound design really makes you feel like you're truly alone out there. It's a game that rewards careful planning and every small success, that being starting a fire, finding a can of soup, and so much more, feels like a victory in its own. If you want a survival game that's more about endurance rather than its action, then this is the one to try. Palworld is still the largest survival game in terms of its popularity for Xbox Game Pass, and that's for very good reason. Of course, in this one you'll be catching and battling creatures like in a monster collecting game, namely Pokemon, but also farming, crafting weapons, and even putting your pals to work in full-blown factories. What really surprised me though right out the gate when I tried it on launch is just how it manages to balance that sort of absurdity with actual survival mechanics, from managing food, base defense, and combat, and it really doesn't feel tacked on. One minute you'll be riding a dragon-like pal across a peaceful field, the next you'll be fighting poachers or building a power grid with your enslaved creatures. It's utterly bizarre, but in a way that makes you want to keep experimenting. I love Palworld. The amount of updates that this game still keeps getting is utterly astonishing, and all of them also free to play as well. Stepping into Atomfall really feels like being dropped into a lost episode of a Cold War sci-fi thriller. This one though is set in an alternate version of 1950s Britain. The game's eerie mix of nuclear fallout, rural decay, and strange phenomena really creates a survival experience that's both grounded as it is unsettling, except if you find a pasty lying around on a wall. The storytelling though is what really does win, as every building, item, and enemy seems to hint at something bigger going on, and they really hit that Britishness on the head. What kept me so hooked though is the tone here. There's that sort of constant feeling that you are being watched or even followed, even when nothing's around you. It's not just survival for the sake of it either, it's about piecing together that narrative while trying not to lose yourself in the process. I have still yet to experience all of the endings here, as there are multiple of them, and there's also that DLC that did arrive onto Xbox consoles. It seems with all of that happening, I may have to dive into this one, as I still love it so much to this day. Whilst most survival games strand you in forests or deserts, Raft actually starts with something completely different, a floating piece of wood in the middle of the ocean. With just a hook and the waves around you, you have to build your future from drifting trash one plank at a time. I honestly didn't expect such a minimal concept to be this engaging, but it evolves beautifully over time. Before long, you'll be purifying your own water, crafting different tools, steering your raft towards some islands, and diving into shipwrecks. The car motion setting contrasts perfectly with that quiet tension of keeping yourself alive. The game can be so peaceful but very stressful at the very same time, and I think that's why it's so loved by so many out there. There's a strange satisfaction in building a tiny floating fortress out of scraps while having to dodge sharks and scavenging abandoned outposts. Then we have S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, which doesn't just challenge you to survive, it actually dares you to understand the world that you're actually trapped in. This one for me was a real highlight of 2024 in terms of Xbox game releases, and the fact that it's actually released day one onto Xbox Game Pass still blows my mind. This one though drops you of course into the exclusion zone, and this deadly living environment will look to test you in every inconceivable way. From radiation, mutated creatures and rival factions, it's all out to kill you at the very worst time. You're not following a set path either. You will be forging your own path, guided by instinct and desperation. I've always been drawn to those sort of survival games that feel utterly real, and S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 nails that grim realism. The game also looks absolutely stunning, the weather systems and the lighting make every location feel threatening and cinematic, and it still is utterly staggering. It's the kind of game that will stick with you long after you've put the controller down, and with Game Pass, it's still worth trying. What made Medieval Dynasty so compelling is the fact that it doesn't ask you to survive, it actually asks you to build your very own life. This one is actually set in the harsh medieval wilderness, and you're not just chopping wood or hunting animals for food. You're actually founding a village from nothing, managing your different villagers, then forming alliances, and even starting a family. This game does evolve slowly over time, but what starts as a real struggle to stay warm through the winter then becomes a full-blown legacy building experience. You will watch your very own settlement grow from a single campfire and a wooden shack into a thriving, self-sufficient community, and it's incredibly satisfying. The seasonal challenges like food shortages or harsh weather make sure you're never just coasting along either, and it even looks gorgeous in the most brutal elements. If you're looking for a survival game that does reward your long-term planning over more fast-paced combat but in a medieval setting, then this is the one. State of Decay 2 is still one that I love to this day, and unfortunately, no, I don't have the full 1000 gamer score, and I was still also shocked that we didn't see State of Decay 3 at the recent Xbox showcase. Nevertheless, if you want a zombie apocalypse survival game, then this really is the best out there. Well, for me anyway. What I've always loved about this game is that it forces you to make some pretty tough calls, not just about supplies, but the people that join you in your very own community. Your survivors also have their very own personalities, their own strengths and flaws, and losing one of them can really throw off your entire group dynamic. Combat though is gritty and often chaotic, especially when you run into a plague cart or you just get swarmed while scavenging through some buildings. Each playthrough also brings some different characters to the mix, and the events make every run feel unpredictable. The Juggernaut Edition is available via your Xbox Game Pass subscription, so I do highly recommend diving into this one, especially as it's an Xbox exclusive. Robin Hood Sherwood Builders really was a fresh twist on the survival genre, looking to blend that sort of action, crafting and city building in the world of English folklore. This one though, of course you do step into the shoes of Robin Hood, but instead of stealing from the rich and giving back to the poor, you're also restoring Sherwood in a haven for the oppressed out there. That sort of mix of rebellion and reconstruction is what looks to set it apart from others in this genre. I was quite surprised by how much time I've actually spent in this one so far. There's a lot to do, from gathering resources, training your own villagers, and then setting up supply chains, not just storming castles. The survival side really does blend nicely with those story-driven missions though, and there's real satisfaction in watching this outlaw camp grow. If you do want something that mixes familiar survival mechanics with more of a narrative and a dash of classic legend, then this one really is a unique ride. It goes heavily under the radar. I know some are still quite mixed on it, but I think it's definitely worth it, especially if you have Xbox Game Pass. With that, what's your favourite survival game on Xbox currently? You'll have to let me know down below, as I'd be curious to hearing your feedback on what one's the best, as I'll be keen on trying some more, especially if I haven't mentioned them in this list. If you did enjoy this video, do make sure to hit that like button, and say if we get over 500 likes, I'll do another video on this of some upcoming survival games that you need to get hyped about. Do make sure you also subscribe as well, as we're on the run down to 100,000 subscribers. Whilst here though, if you are interested in seeing some more Xbox content, I did cover some games that were recently announced for your Xbox Game Pass subscription, so it's definitely worth checking out their video if you want to see what's coming very, very soon.